Hello, my name is Dr. Courtney Johnson, and today I'm going to be talking again about another standard in our third grade math book on rounding numbers on a number line. Now, it is represented by a standard in the state of Texas titled 3.2c. I'm going to read it to you because it's kind of long, and I definitely want to represent and break it up into three different parts to make it easier for us to understand. It states that you need to represent a number on a number line as being between two consecutive multiples of 10, 100, 1,000, or 10,000, and use words to describe the relative size of numbers in order to round whole numbers. Now, I'm going to break down the first part of that standard to you that you can see underlined, and it is stating to represent a number on a number line. I'm going to show you in the next slide what that looks like. As you see here, we have a number line. It has consecutive numbers, and it has consecutive multiples of 10. And there is a point represented on the number line by point Q. Now, let's move on to the second part of the standard. Being between two consecutive multiples of 10, 100, 1,000, or 10,000. Now let's talk about what that looks like as well. Let's please pay attention to the next slide. Right now you're looking at consecutive multiples of 10. Now, you just saw this from the previous slide, but I definitely wanted to pull out that key language, consecutive multiples of 10, which means counting by tens. Consecutive multiples, numbers going after the other. Multiples comes from the word multiply, which means a multiple of 10. The next slide, you're going to see the next thing that is very important for you to do. It is very important, if you have numbers missing, fill in the missing consecutive numbers on the number line so you won't miss any numbers. You always want to fill in missing numbers on the number line regardless of what standard that you're working on. And you see these numbers are rounding to 60. It is closest to 60 on the number line. On this next slide, you're looking at consecutive multiples of hundreds. And point F is the number that we want to represent on the number line. And you see right below the number line, we have you skip count. We have you filling in the numbers so you can understand how and what the multiples are counting by, and these are multiples of hundreds. On the next slide, you're looking at consecutive multiples of thousands. Now, there are no numbers to fill in. It's all about recognizing point G and seeing, is it closest to 1,000 or is it closest to 2,000? Now, on this final one, we're looking at consecutive multiples of 10,000. Now, again, there are only 2 points, and we're trying to represent and find out what is represented by point H. The last part of the standard that we're going to understand today is using words to describe the relative size of numbers in order to round whole numbers. The key word in this phrase is use words. You're going to have to use words to describe the relative size of these numbers so you can find out what we are rounding this number to. Now, on the next slide, I'm going to show you an example of a problem that can show you what this full standard looks like and show you how you have to understand how many words you're going to have to recognize and understand in order to get a problem like this one right. Now, look at this problem. It states the number line shows how much money Donald spent on clothes for his children. And you see the number line, and we see point F, and we have to identify point F. We need to fill in the number lines, and you see the question, which is always the most important part of any problem, the question. What is the best estimate of how much money Donald spent? And you see A, B, C, and D, and we're having to read. We're having to use words to recognize what this answer is going to be. And A says 200 because point F is less than halfway between 200 and 300. So it's about understanding how to represent on a number line and how to represent what multiple you're counting by, and then representing what is the closest whole number that is going to be represented by that point. Now, if you have any questions, it will always be good if you can rewind this video and watch it again to give yourself enough repetition to be able to catch on. Thank you.